In many companies that I have worked with, I tend to hear that master data management, or MDM as we tend to speak, is a curse word, and we really shouldn't mention about it. We also hear that saying many times that, yeah, we have tried it, but it have never worked, so we will not do it again. Well, everyone has master data, every company has it, everyone is doing master data management, whether or without realizing you are doing it. By the time you realize that you are not doing it properly is usually when the problems arise. And another thing is that usually the master data management discussions are led by the IT, not the business. However, today we are here to discuss something different, something that I haven't encountered that often in the projects that I have worked. We are together here today with Almir from Konecranes to discuss about their journey of business-owned MDM. My name is Pekka Tamminen and I work as a data architect in Solita. And Almir, welcome.
Thank you, Pekka. So I fully agree with you. It's such an exciting project and I can't wait to talk about it, but let's get the formalities first out of the way. So my name is Almir Tokalic and I have been working with master data management for the past 10 years. Currently, I lead a global team of data professionals responsible for company and contact master data management. And as Pekka said, I work for Konecranes, and very briefly about Konecranes. So Konecranes moves what matters. We are a global leader in material handling solution. We have operations in more than 50 countries and we have 16,000 employees. We serve our customers through multiple business segments and multiple brands. So we are not talking about small company.
Great, thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
We are here to talk about centralized MDM. How does that even look like in a company like Konecranes? Where do you even start?
Well, that's a really good question. And I would say that master data management is not a project and it's something that we will be discussing today. So it's more of a journey. So for us in Konecranes, the journey started, I would say, maybe 15 years ago. And it started with very basic questions like, what is our annual spend or what are our annual sales? And at that point of time, of course, we were able to answer those questions, but it took a lot of time and effort because Konecranes grew rapidly through different acquisitions, which means that we inherited a lot of different systems. Answering those simple questions like how many customers we have or how many shared customers we have with between different units, it took a lot of effort because we had to combine information from many different systems and places.
Yeah, this sounds really typical kind of questions and indicators that highlight the need of master data management, especially in the companies that are growing rapidly, like Konecranes did back then.
Exactly, and this point of time we could maybe see as the first steps towards Konecranes centralized master data management. At this point of time, we executed data migrations from all these different systems and consolidated data into one place. But still, I wouldn't necessarily talk about centralized master data management at that point of time. We just had a place where you could see if something existed somewhere else. So basically, you could see that if a customer or a supplier existed in different systems throughout Konecranes. But we didn't really have real data governance in place or data ownership. And mainly IT was the one who was doing all the data uploads and data cleanups from time to time.
Yeah, this sounds really familiar, as I was there 15 years ago by myself experiencing this. And already back then we realized that in the IT that the business should take more responsibility of this. But I guess the kind of organization wasn't mature enough in data management to realize and be ready for that.
Yeah, and I think again that's an excellent point, and maybe again I would emphasize that as it is a journey and not just a project, it's very easy to look back and say that, oh, we should have maybe done that or we should have done this, and maybe take a bit too critical approach to the past things that have been done and maybe being a bit too harsh. But we should remember that when we are solving critical problems, we do what we can at that point of time.
Yeah, that's really well said.
However, another thing that is equally important to understand is that things can change rapidly. So for Konecranes, for example, after this phase, we enter into another very important phase of Konecranes history with the implementation of the global ERP system and the global CRM system. And of course, then that had a crucial role in us moving towards centralized approach in master data management, because we already had a technology that contained all the golden records. So for us, it was natural that we would extend that and have these integrations to other systems and have these real-time data updates and publish data outwards and support this project that we were embarking on. And that meant also that at that point of time, we established a centralized team that would actually then support these activities and provide services globally to all of our units.
So you started with the so-called consolidation style. You combined the information from different sources and established the unified view with the golden record. And then you used that as a backbone for your centralized approach.
Yes.
So basically you have done already for many years the centralized MDM approach. So it's not a new thing for you. But now the things are about to change. Why?
Well, centralized MDM has its own benefits, as you probably know, but then there are also challenges. We started to realize that we are having difficulties across the board. And if we were to tackle those difficulties, we would have to actually sit down and better understand what is actually causing that, what are the root causes for that. And before we would move on to any new initiatives, we wanted to actually do that.
Well, the master data is connected to everything, and it might be sometimes quite complex to understand. So how did you do that?
Well, that is true. Master data is connected to everything basically and all parts of the company. So when we started this initiative, we wanted to actually do exactly that. We wanted to include everybody. So how we did it is basically that we included our business, our IT, our finance department, legal department, data protection department. We included our procurement. So we wanted to have all the key stakeholders involved in this discussion. And we wanted to together to find a solution that will actually be an enabler for business and empower business to actually gain more from our approach. So we took a very critical approach to everything that we had at that point of time, and we wanted to understand how can we actually use everything we have and do something more for everybody to have additional value to what we were creating before.
I think this is actually the kind of biggest achievement that differentiates this project from many others. You have really succeeded to get the whole company to be committed to the project, and the whole organization is behind this. And I can see that in everyday work that you are really paying attention to the communication, and everyone knows what's happening, and people are really committed. But let's get back to that study you mentioned. So what did the study tell you?
Yeah, so as I was saying, so we wanted to have a clear understanding what's going on. So we did start this study together with all these different departments. And the outcome of that study, well, there were a lot of things, to be honest. So there were a lot of good things, a lot of things that we have done in the past that were actually now putting us in a position where we can leverage that and actually utilize that to create then more value for all of us. So it was not all negative, but then there were a lot of challenges that we needed to tackle. So I maybe won't list all of them today, but maybe I'll mention a few main ones. So the study showed us that we need to improve our transparency. So both our data transparency and our process transparency, and both internally and externally. Then the study showed us that we should use our MDM approach to empower people and not take control away from them, basically meaning taking control from business to the centralized MDM team. And it also showed us that we should move data as close to the business as possible, and also decision-making as close to the business as possible. Study showed us that we have to streamline our processes. There was a lot of complexity, a lot of overlapping tasks. So the study told us that we should streamline those processes so that we can have a better cost control and we can build a scalable solution. Also, studies showed us that once we are done streamlining those processes, we should embed them into the system themselves. So not just have something in your PowerPoint presentation or in a Word document, but actually have the systems guide the users and have the systems be intuitive to the users, what they are actually to do in their processes. And this would then also allow us to introduce other things like RPA or maybe even AI to analyze those processes and collect information about the processes and then utilize that to make further improvements. And then ultimately the study showed us that if we were to achieve all of these things, we would actually have to replace our existing MDM technology with a more modern solution because our technology we were using at that time didn't have the needed capabilities. And for us, then the natural next step was to start the RFP process, invite all different service providers to respond, and of course, Solita was one of those service providers.
Yeah, at this point also Solita joined the discussions, and based on the RFP material, I can really say that you had done your homework really well. The processes and the requirements were very well defined. They were detailed enough, but still leaving room for kind of suggestions and improvements that the modern technological capabilities could bring.
Yeah, and that makes me happy that you would say that. And we also had Gartner to go over our RFP material, and they basically said the same thing, that the homework has been done really well. And the reason why this makes me happy is because I know how much time and effort the whole team put into both the study and then the RFP process. But for us, that was basically the only natural way forward, because we understood that if we were to find a partner who will take this project on with us, so we were not looking for just a new MDM technology, but we were looking for somebody who will take on this project together with us and help us achieve these targets that we have set. And for that, we had to have a clear understanding what we are trying to do. So having an extensive study and clear RFP was kind of crucial to that.
Yeah, I agree with you with the kind of importance of choosing the right partner. It's not just about kind of
it's not about the technology.
Yeah, it's not about implementing the technology, but it's all about improving and modernizing the ways of doing the master data management.
And then ultimately we felt that Solita was the correct partner for us.
Yeah. So Solita joined the project in last January, and the first thing for us was to implement the new MDM solution in place. Replacing the old solution with the new one took about 4 months, including all the testing and training, and we were able to implement it with no interruptions for the business. And I cannot emphasize kind of enough the fact that the most significant enabler for such a quick and successful implementation was the well-defined processes and the requirements, and the technology was the easy part. You spent over a year or two defining this and
Yes, and if I can add to that, when Solita joined in January, for you it was the first thing to implement the new technology. But of course we started this project way before that, and we did other things as well. So
yeah.
For us, even before we started the implementation of the new technology, we did other things as well. So for example, we had significant data quality improvements. So to give you one example, we archived 20% of our master data records, and that also made it easier for us to implement business partner concept for the SAP upgrade to S/4HANA. But that's a topic for another day. So we did a lot of data quality improvements, and then also we moved data closer to the business. The team that I was mentioning is now actually sitting in business. But then also we implemented a new decision-making process for cross-functional topics such as MDM, for example, is.
So sounds like a lot of progress has been done already, but how do you feel about the future? Will you be able to achieve all the targets that you have set?
Well, it's a challenging project because, as we said, Konecranes is not a small company, so there are a lot of people involved in this, and communicating and ensuring commitment from everybody takes a lot of time. But I'm fully confident that we will do all the things that we have set out to do for this project, and even more once we are done with the current targets.
I'm also really excited to see that what's there still to come, and there's a lot of things happening in this project. So could you still summarize the kind of key highlights or takeaways for the audience from this project that they could take with them today?
Well, there are a lot of things that I could mention today, but maybe I would mention 4 for the audience. So communication and commitment, I think it's one of the crucial things. So communicate, communicate, communicate. And that should be done in the early phases of the project. So allowing people to actually have impact on the decisions that are being made, and also impact on the targets that are being set for the project, and that will definitely ensure their commitment as well to those targets. And at the same time, of course, we should ensure commitment from the management as well. Usually it's seen as the boring part of the project, but ensuring commitment from the management will also ensure that you have the right prioritization for the project, but then also needed resources. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and maybe the most important thing, is understanding your business, your processes, and the people. Finding something that's best for your company. Of course, you should read all the studies and do the benchmarks and talk to different stakeholders, but ultimately you should find what's best for your business and implement that, and not something just because some data management book says, for example. The third thing I would mention is having ambitious targets, but not unrealistic. So having clear and ambitious targets, it's a very good thing, but not taking on too much. And as you said yourself, data management can be overwhelming. There are requirements flying from all sides or all the different places, for basically from everywhere. So choose your battles carefully, and then make sure that you have the resources that you need to actually win those battles. And maybe the last thing that I would mention today is doing what you promise. So first achieve those things that you have promised, and by ensuring and delivering the things that you have already promised, that will also allow you to take on new initiatives and also have the commitment for those new initiatives. So first do the things that you have already set up, and don't go running off doing new things.
Yeah. And that's the end of our discussion of how to do business-owned MDM. Thank you, Almir.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone online. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave those in the chat. So thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you.